Hello, I'm Jack and this is Entertainment World, and today I'll be talking about Aquaman, which was directed by James Wan. The screenplay was by Will Beall and David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. I think that's the name. I mean, it's a really long name, so I hope I'm right. And the story was by Jeff Johns, James Wan and Will Beall, and stars Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Now, I really like this film, I really do. It's the sixth film in the DCEU, it has a lot of good things about it, I really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like it completely abandons what Zack Snyder was doing, it still feels like it fits in with his universe. It's more light than his films, but it still feels like it fits in with all of that. So I really like this film because of that as well. And the film stands out on its own right, which is a very good thing. So I do enjoy this film. However, like I normally do, I will be starting off with the negatives just because I like to get them out the way so I can end on a positive note. So anyway, the first negative is, just to get it out the way, even though most of the CGI in this film is amazing, there are some things which look too shiny, look too like glossy, or they move in an unrealistic nature and stuff like that, and it just looks a bit cartoony in some places. But that's only a few things. For the most part, like I said, the CGI is amazing. It's just a couple things look a bit too cartoony. So it's just a little nitpick thing. Another little nitpick thing is, throughout the film, it keeps doing the same thing over and over again in terms of, like, when an action scene is about to start, what happens is there'll be like two characters talking normally, you know, blah, 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 plot, whatever it is. And then, like, the camera will pan in on them and there'll be an explosion and they'll get blown back. And they'll be like, oh god, what was that? And then the enemy would reveal itself and then there'll be a fight scene. And it does that several times and it's just a bit like... Okay, I mean, off the top of my head, it does it 3 times, where there'll be people talking, and then there'll be an explosion, and then the enemy will reveal itself, and then they'll fight it, and it's just like, come on, there's other ways to introduce an action scene other than an explosion jump scare that blows the characters backwards. They have to recover quickly because an enemy is about to attack them, and it does it 3 times, and I was just like, can't you find another way? It reminds me of like Godzilla King of the Monsters, where at 4 different places they're about to get killed by the monster and then Godzilla saves them last second, and it just reminds me of that. It's just like the exact same thing over and over again. I was like, come on, can you just do something different please, once? So yeah, that's just 2 little things there. Obviously with the plot as well, the idea of 2 family members fighting for the throne of a kingdom isn't new in any form of media. I mean, that's been done loads of times, and it's also been done a few times with comic book films now. So, you know, that isn't exactly a new concept. I mean, but this film does it in its own unique way, so I'm not going to knock it. I'm just saying, you know, you could look at this and go, well, I've seen things which are similar, especially other superhero films which have come out before, regardless of which comic book character came out first. It's just that terms of, because the films were made first, the general audience will view it as having been done before, if that makes sense. So, if you're just a general audience member, you might be like, I've seen other films do this before. So, it's just little things like that. They're not massive, huge negatives, they're just little nitpick things. Personally, like I said, I think the story does it in a unique way, so I'm not a complete negative. I just wanted to say that. But overall, it is a unique way of telling a similar story, so that is good. Another thing with they're just little things, like another one being, there's a scene where a character called Volko, who is Aquaman's mentor and teacher, there's a scene with a younger version of Aquaman played by a different character in him. Now, I don't want to bash the younger Aquaman, because I don't like bashing young actors. I don't like bashing any actor, because I don't think it's fair. Because, you know, like I said, who am I to bash other people? It's just that, for one, I don't think his voice suited him. And it's not like he was 6, so, oh, you know, his voice will get deeper later on. I can't imagine that voice getting significantly deeper than it already is. It might get a bit deeper, but I don't think it's going to get Jason Momoa level deeper. You know, Aquaman's like, oh right, he's got the deep voice, he's like this. Whereas this one's like, oh right, I got a squeaky voice. And I was just like, that's too high pitched. He looks like Jason Momoa. They did a good job at like, well, what would Jason Momoa look like, 25 years ago? Well, there's that worked. It's just that his voice was just not deep enough to be Jason Momoa's. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it's just sort of it isn't deep enough, because, like I said, Jason Momoa, he's cool, he's got this voice. And that isn't that's a bad impression of Jason Momoa, but he's got that sort of voice, whereas this guy just, didn't. It was. Also, I couldn't tell, it was weird, because he sounded like he was 15. And I think he was meant to be, he looked like he was 15. But he looked 20. So I was like, I can't tell. So the character, that version, at that point in his life, Aquaman's somewhere between 15 and 20. I can't tell how old he is. It just was a bit weird. And going back to the acting, I don't know. I don't want to blame. It was very forced. The whole thing did seem quite forced, but I would say the whole scene felt like quite forced, because they're training, and then Aquaman gets really angry, and it becomes an emotional moment. But it's just like that. It'd be like if me talking. I'm trying not to spoil it, but it'd be like me just talking to you, talking like this normally, and then I just randomly went, "Stop lying to me!" But without the deep voice, a lot squeakier voice, and then it's just like really, you're telling me and it just sort of comes across so, okay, this was a bit of a shift. And even Willem Dafoe is a bit like, yeah, Willem Dafoe, is the actor who played Volko. That whole scene, it just goes from normal to emotional, angry shift moment so quickly, that the whole thing comes across as a bit forced. The voice the voice that the younger Aquaman had didn't match Jason Momoa's in any way, shape or form. But I don't want to blame, he's a bad actor, because the whole scene felt a bit forced. If it was more natural, he might have given a better performance. I don't know. I don't know. I can't comment. I don't know the guy. I haven't seen him in anything else, so I don't know what he's like as an actor, but based on that scene, the whole thing just came across as a bit unnatural. The scene itself is actually well made in terms of a visual standpoint, and it's sort of, because it's training, it's got a bit of good action to it. It's just that the dialogue and the emotional moment that it's meant to be it just comes across as too in your face. So yeah, I'm going to have to put that here, unfortunately. I wouldn't want to, because it's meant to be a pivotal moment of the film. But the whole thing just comes across as so forced, and the voice gets me a little bit, because I'm like, she doesn't sound like Jason. I know how difficult that would be. You've got to cast somebody who's got the same physique as Jason Momoa, looks like Jason Momoa, can act enough for the sake of the scene, and has to be a young Aquaman. I understand that's a very difficult thing to get right, because you're basically like saying, I need a time machine to get a 15-year-old Jason Momoa. So, and I don't know what Jason Momoa looked like when he was 15. He might have been scrawny, I don't know, so that wouldn't even fucking work if they did that, if that's the case. I'm not saying he would be, and I doubt he would be. I think he was like 10 years old, drinking beer with Guinness and throwing axes, because he's the coolest guy in the fucking world. But I just picture, it's such a hard thing to try and cast. I think they did a good job with the actor and how he does look like a younger Jason Momoa, and I would believe that to be a younger version of the same character. But the overall line delivery and the voice sort of derailed the whole thing. That is like, he comes across as a different character, although he looked perfect for young Jason Momoa. Just the voice, no. exaggeration. Don't go, he didn't sound that bad, you're bullying him. I'm not bullying him, I feel bad and I'm trying to be nice about it. It's just that his voice was way too high-pitched to sound like I said, it might get deeper, but I can't picture it getting Jason Momoa level sort of deep, and it was like a different accent as well. So, yeah, that's just my view on that whole thing. I'm going to try and condense that now. So anyway, the scene was meant to be good. The scene was well made. It's just, like I said, the dialogue, the emotional moments, the voice and things like that didn't really land as much as it should do. Although the point still comes across, so I'll give it that. And the couple little spoiler negatives, just want to get them out of the way. So if you haven't watched it, go to that timestamp here, because I don't want to spoil it. If you don't care and you're going to watch it anyway, fair enough, I can't stop you. I'm not going to tell you to not watch it, but if I spoil it for you, then that's your fault. You've self-inflicted that on yourself. I'm not to blame. I've warned you, I've recommended, but if you don't care, then whatever. Anyway, so just a couple little things, just tiny little things. There's when Black Manta's dad dies and the dad has the bomb and he's like, go, you gotta live because you gotta kill Aquaman, and the son's like, no, I'm not gonna leave you, and then he's like, get the bomb, and that scene, which is a good scene. Not knocking that, but there's just a shot of Black Manta running away, and it's so slow-mo, so like running like this, and the music's so dramatic, I can't take it seriously. I almost find it funny. I can't. It's just so over the top. It's like you can put almost any stereotypical dramatic music over the top of it, and you can make it a joke. It just comes across as so over the top and mental. The rest of the scene's good. It's just that one shot where he's just like running away in slow motion whilst the music's like really sad and really dramatic. I'm like, I just can't take it seriously. It just comes across as funny. So it's just that there. And the last thing is the monster, which name I can't remember, even though I watched it last night at the time of filming it. I've watched it like 10 times now, but I just can't remember it for the sake of this, sorry. Yeah, the monster, whatever it's called, looks like a kaiju from Pacific Rim. And now I'm not saying that Pacific Rim has owned that type of monster and no monster can look like it. It just looks a lot like it. It looks like an unused kaiju concept, and then they used it in this. It just looks like a kaiju from Pacific Rim. If you put that monster in Pacific Rim and possibly even gave it the same name, yeah, I would picture Gypsy Danger trying to fight that thing, or Striker Eureka, or whatever. So it was like category 7. It was bigger than a kaiju from Pacific Rim, but it looked like an unused concept for a boss battle in that film. So when I say unused, I'm not saying it's not bad. It's actually good. It's good, and the CGI is amazing. I just was like, yeah, this. If the Pacific Rim theme started playing and Gypsy Danger and Strike Eureka were dropped into the ocean, and they were like, we got to get to the beach, we've got to drop the nuclear bomb, and this kaiju's in the way, and started punching it, wouldn't surprise me, because it just reminded me of the ending of Pacific Rim. So, yeah, that's just those two little things, very nitpicky. I just had to say those two things, because that shot bothers me, and it just looks a little bit too much like a kaiju, although the scene itself is cool. So I'm just going to leave those two things now. But I have remembered another negative. This isn't a spoiler one, so I'm just going to talk about this quickly. There's a fight scene in the opening which is amazing. And there's a fight scene in Sicily which is also amazing. And they're two of the best action scenes in the entire film, and they've got long one-shots, and you're like, wow, this is amazing, and the camera angles change. I was like, wow. But I wish they had gone with the wider aspect ratio with those, because a lot of the film does have the wider aspect ratio because it's filmed in IMAX and it looks amazing, and a lot of the underwater scenes have the bigger aspect ratio, which is cool. I'm not knocking that, and the underwater scenes look amazing. But they give the big aspect ratio to so many scenes that maybe didn't need it, because it looked amazing with it, but I don't know why you would choose that over the really impressive action scene. So that's just a little nitpick for me, because the action scenes are amazing. So this is like a negative because it's so positive, if that makes sense. The action scenes are so good. I don't know why you wouldn't give them... There could be a reason why, and you could just be watching this and go, well, actually, it was because this, whatever. Which is fair enough. It's just, to me, I was like, those action scenes are so cool. It was wasted that you didn't give these scenes an aspect ratio. I'm not saying you shouldn't have given the others and take it away from it and give it to this. But I don't know why they didn't. Because they gave the aspect ratio to a lot of other things. In fact, a lot of the film is got the IMAX sort of aspect ratio. Bigger, look at the screen, fills the whole screen up. Which is cool. I love that. But I would go so far to say the Sicily action scene is the best action scene in the whole film. Yet it doesn't have the IMAX bigger aspect ratio. So I just felt like that was a bit of a wasted potential on how to make it even better. Like, when I say even better, I mean like from amazing to super amazing. Because the scene's amazing itself. I was just like, oh, okay, this could have used with that as well, because to make it look really cool like the rest of the film, but hey-oh, whatever. This just, like I said, a little nitpick. This film, for me, there's no massive flaws. I know some people have it, but there's nothing in this film which makes me go, oh god, I hate it. There's just things where I was like, I wish they had done that with this, or maybe changed that design, or maybe didn't do it like that, or didn't do the same thing over and over again. Just little nitpicky things. So that's how I feel about the film in terms of the negatives. They're just little nitpicks. It doesn't ruin the film. I don't hate it. I still love the film. It's just like a few, somewhere between 5 and 10 little things where I was just like, could have done that a bit better or differently. So that's just my overall opinion on the film in terms of the negatives. So anyway, now that I've gotten through my little nitpicky little things, there's a couple little things, other things, but they're not worth mentioning. They're just too tiny to sit here and go, this film did this film did that. So, yeah, they're just the negatives. I'm now going to get into the positives, which are good, because I do love this film. So the first positive is, Jason Momoa is, of course, a brilliant Aquaman. Perfect casting. I couldn't think of anybody better. He brings a lot of emotion to the character. He gets the style of the character right. You believe he is the character. I think he brings an element. I don't know. Coolness isn't what I would. I don't know how else to describe it. But he brings coolness to the character. You're like, wow, this is awesome. He gives the character a really cool superhero, relatable, and human feel to him. Now, if you know Aquaman from as how a lot of people perceived Aquaman before this film came out, nobody would want to play Aquaman. Nobody would go, yes, I want to be Aquaman. That's the superhero I want to play when I get older. That's not what a mindset is. But Jason Momoa's turned Aquaman into one of those characters. He brings so much so many unique things to the role. It's almost unbelievable. It's unbelievable that he was able to help turn this character from the dolphin riding, yellow spandex wearing weirdo that everybody used to make fun of to essentially one of the coolest superheroes ever made. It's just because he plays this character so well, brings such a unique spin to it, yet makes him like this cool dude who's like, yeah, I'm tough, I can fight anybody, and all of these things, yet also makes him relatable and even weak when he needs to be and when he should be, so the audience can also feel for him, attach to him, and believe that he's the main character. So I really like Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Obviously he's a good build for it, he does the fight scenes well, he's, like I said, good at the acting side of it, so I do like him as Aquaman. Now, obviously there's a lot of controversy around this actress, and unless you know nothing about anything to do with Hollywood, because you never read any headlines, or you live under a fucking rock, you would know that there's a lot of controversy surrounding Amber Heard. Now, I'm going to do this without taking this into consideration, because from an acting standpoint, she is a good Mera. Amber Heard is a good Mera. She plays the role well. She is a positive for this film. Now, like I said, because it's controversy, I don't want to go, yeah, best thing ever, needs to stay for Aquaman 2, blah, blah, because I'm not going to get into that here. Because in the same way, like, I can't say that, like, Kevin Spacey wasn't a good actor, didn't give good performances in these films just because in real life this had happened. And it's the same with Amber Heard. I can't say she's bad in this film just because of, you know, the whole Johnny Depp situation. Because that isn't fair on this film. I don't care about being fair on her. It's not fair on the film and the people who worked hard on it. Just to, you know, well, she's shit and it makes the film shit just because of that situation. I can't do that. It's not fair for me to do that, and it's not right for me to do that. And if you're sitting here watching this pissed off with me because I'm not saying Amber Heard is the worst thing ever, then it's unfair for you to expect me to do that because of what happened. Obviously, I might not agree with what she did, or might not. I don't agree with what she did, and that isn't good. But that isn't the point here in terms of the context of this review. That isn't what I'm trying to get across. That isn't my point to make. And it's not for me to like delve into that really. So my overall point is I like her as Mera. She's obviously gorgeous, great. She looks amazing. She plays the character well. And it's almost a shame about the whole controversy thing. It's a shame that that's what she would have done in real life because she was good as the character. She is a good Mera. So that's my view on that whole thing. Another huge positive is Willem Dafoe as Volko is amazing. I really like him as Volko. He's an amazing mentor for Aquaman. It's one of the better mentor relationships I've seen in a film. Especially a superhero film. It is fantastic. I really buy it. I really buy it. It's not like father and son relationship. It's more, I don't know, I don't like to say granddad, but it is almost a granddad relationship because he's not his dad where he's like, oh, you got to do this right and do this right and do that right, or sort of thing. And they're not friends, but you can tell Volko cares for him. You can tell he does want to protect him. He does want to help him, but he also is aware of what Aquaman needs to do, and Aquaman's life needs to be in danger for that because of what Aquaman needs to do, if that makes sense. He's aware that Aquaman has to do these things that will put him in danger, so Volko's trying to prepare him as much as he can for that. So I do like Volko. Willem Dafoe was an amazing casting choice for him. I can't wait to see him in Zack Snyder's Justice League because he actually played the character before playing the character in this film in Zack Snyder's Justice League. However, that was all cut out because of Justice League. So, I don't know. I can't wait to see his performance he did before this performance of the same character, if that all makes sense. Because he's really good at it. I want to see more of him. And obviously Aquaman 2, want to see him in more of that. And for the love of God, I do hope they make more Zack Snyder's Justice League films, so I'd hope to see him in those as well. If his character can be... I don't know what's going to happen to his character in Aquaman 2, or even if something does happen to his character in Aquaman 2, if they'll acknowledge that in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. So I don't know what the hell's going to go on there, but as if they make them, but I hope they make them. So either way, I want to see more of his character because I like him and I want to see more of his performance. Yeah, so the main three there are good. Tamara Morrison, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm really sorry if I didn't, is great as Aquaman's dad. Thomas, he's amazing in the film. He's not in it very often, much. Well, he's not in it often, he's not in it much. He's only in the beginning and the end, really. But when he is in it, he is good. He does give a couple emotional performances. Obviously, he can't do a huge amount because he's got limited screen time, but in his limited screen time he is good, he's believable, you buy his relationship he has with his son. I can picture him being Aquaman's dad. Like if you said, who would be Aquaman's dad, Jango Fett's a pretty good one to go with, and I believe those two. I believe their relationship. I'm not going to say it's a pity we didn't get to see more. We didn't get to see more of him, because I think the film balances it quite well. However, I do want to see more of him in future. But I'm not going to put that as a negative on this film, because I think the film had him in it the perfect amount, because there isn't a lot he could have done had he been a main character, because he's just a normal guy. So whilst these big superhero fights that were going on underwater, there wouldn't have been a whole lot he could have done, because he would have gone underwater, probably passed out after 2 minutes, and then died. So yeah, there wouldn't have been an awful lot he could have done. And if the drowning didn't kill him, I'm sure an Atlantean throwing him 1,000 feet through several brick walls would have done. So yeah, there isn't a lot he could have done, but in the amount of screen time he has, good. Nicole Kidman, again, not in it very much, but in the time she is in it, she is really good. She's Aquaman's mum, another good casting choice. So yeah, they work really well. That whole sort of dynamic thing there that's showed at the beginning of the film, that all works. I believe that, and it's quite. There's a lot of sad moments with that, and that works. And I keep saying that, and I'm sorry for saying how I keep saying that works, but this film basically, it does a lot of things really well. But it's not like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like mind-bogglingly amazing. It's just like, yeah, that's good, because their relationship is that sort of relationship. It is what the film needs it to be. It is a good family dynamic that you believe, and you do see how it moulds Aquaman into the man he is, and why he is, and what he wants to do, and why he wants to do it. So you do believe the whole thing, and how it all, like I said, affects Aquaman and his mindset as he gets older, and has gotten older, and now he's a fully grown man, and the plot of the film. And you see just how it affects his decision making as well throughout the film, and how he feels about Atlantis as well. So it's good that they done that, and they do that well. And Patrick Wilson, who is the main villain, King Orm, who is Aquaman's half-brother, they share the same mum. He's a good villain. You believe him as a villain. I like Patrick Wilson because I liked him in Watchmen. I also liked him in the A-Team remake. I like the A-Team remake. And he was good in that as well. So he's good in this. He's amazing in Watchmen. He's really good in this. Maybe, I don't want to say miscast, because he's not miscast, but he's not like big Aquaman. Comparison. He's not the same as Aquaman, but in a way that works, because it just shows how different the two characters are. But they're not the same kind of person. They don't have the same beliefs. They don't look alike. They don't have the same traditional upbringing. They don't believe in the same things, because even though they're both Atlantean, one was born on the surface and has lived most of his life there, whereas the other one was born under the water and has spent his entire life under the water, hates the surface world, wants to declare war on it. So, and Aquaman's trying to stop that from happening, trying to stop his half-brother by taking the throne, because he's the rightful king. Otherwise, his brother will destroy the world, basically. So that dynamic works, because you believe their dislike for one another. This film just does a lot of things right, and like I said, two brothers, or whatever it is, cousins, or however their relationship works, fighting for the throne isn't necessarily a unique thing. And like I said, it's even been done in comic book films before this. However, the way this film portrays it, the way the reasons why they don't get along, and all of that sort of thing, are unique. So I'm going to give it credit, because the actor played the character well, and both actors played their characters well. So their rivalry sort of thing, and why they're the way they are, and why that conflict, and why one wants to defend the surface and one wants to declare war on it, you believe that dynamic. So that was all good. So after Patrick Wilson, another character in the film is called King Nereus, who's played by Dolph Lundgren. He's also cool. He's not the secondary villain, because there is a secondary villain, but he's sort of like he's part of the whole plot to destroy the surface world, because he agrees with King Orm, who wants to destroy the surface world, although he's like, he doesn't want to flat out admit that, because that's bad, that just wanting to declare war on people is not a good thing. But he's cool, he plays the character well, and his amount of screen time, I would again say, is pretty good. And you see the conflict he has with Mira, his daughter, so I liked all of that. And I can't say the actor's name, I apologise, I will put it here. But the actor who played Black Manta was cool. I like Black Manta as a secondary villain, he was very interesting. I liked the action scenes between him and Aquaman, and I would want to see more of him as well. He was a cool character, and I liked their action scene. So, well, action scenes, sorry. So yeah, it's quite hard to say, like, oh yeah, his performance was cool, because his performance was playing angry guy who wants to kill Aquaman. But considering his performance was angry man who wants to kill Aquaman, he played angry man who wanted to kill Aquaman pretty well. So I believed him as Black Manta. He was a good casting choice for Black Manta. And I also, when he's in full Black Manta suit, I like the Black Manta voice. So he worked. He was enjoyable as the character. His performance was pretty well done and pretty interesting. Although, like I said, it's just sort of man who wants to kill Aquaman. So it's not like a huge amount you can do with that. But what they do with it, what they do with it is pretty cool. So I will give that credit and a mention, because it is worth it. His performance is worth a mention. Okay, now just this bit as well. The CGI is amazing in this film. The CGI is fantastic. It is some of the best CGI I've seen in any film. The underwater scenes are really cool. They actually look like they're underwater, so that works. The underwater action sequences are brilliant. And just the effect and the design of everything. I know I said there's a few things that look a bit too shiny, a bit too cartoony, but in a film where like 60-70% of the backdrop is all CGI, and the weapons and all of that, it's pretty hard to not have a few moments where something looks a bit too shiny. But overall, the CGI in this film is brilliant, fantastic, deserves a lot of praise. I could just stand here for saying it's so good, but I'm not going to do that, otherwise the video will be 7 hours long and all I'll be doing is saying the CGI is great. But the CGI is great. So, just wanted to get that out of the way. And the action as well is also brilliant. Like I said, in the negatives, I loved the opening scene, fight scene, and the fight scene in Sicily. The fight scene in Sicily, which I won't spoil, is my favourite fight scene in the film. It could have done with a bigger aspect ratio, but other than that, it's fantastic. A lot of good long takes. There's quite a few good underwater fights, like I said earlier, with the CGI. And they're all cool. The stunts are pretty good. The choreography and the camera angles are, like I said, are well made. And the long takes, I think are what my favourite part of this film. There's quite a few good, just long takes where it's not cut, not edited, sort of. Just the camera just moves around the room or area or underwater, wherever it is, so you get a good look at the fight scene from different angles without the camera cutting. So, and it's switching to a different perspective of it. It moves and it flows pretty well. So I enjoyed that. The action scenes in this film are really cool. It's sort of like this film, sort of like an action slash superhero film. And the action in this film is great, so yeah, I'm going to give it a lot of praise for that, because I would say that's probably the most entertaining. Well, Jason Momoa and Amber Heard were entertaining them as a dynamic, but from visual presentation, the action scenes in this film were really cool. So I would actually recommend the film as an action film as well. If you wanted to just watch a film with some cool action, I would recommend Aquaman as one of those films. So there's that. Although the score isn't as good or as memorable as like Man of Steel's or Batman v Superman's, I did enjoy the score, actually. The score was pretty good. It does suit the film. I like Black Manta's theme. I like the main credit theme. A lot of the music playing over the action sequences as well was good. And the end credit songs, Everything I Need by Skylar Grey, the film version of it, I actually don't know what the normal version of the sound song's like. I only know the film version. I enjoyed that as well. That was a good song. So the music for this film is good, and the song that was performed for the film was also enjoyable, and you could actually listen to it by itself. I don't know about the score. I don't think I'd ever listen to the score by itself, because I don't know what I would be doing where I'd think, yes, I want to listen to the Aquaman score. I could be like, if I'm depressed or if I'm doing something that I want to be motivated, I could listen to the flight theme from Man of Steel, or the Fight Night, which is the warehouse theme from Batman v Superman. But I don't know what context I would listen to the Aquaman music for, although I do like Everything I Need by Skylar Grey. Rupert Gregson-Williams is the guy who did the music, and I think he did the music for Wonder Woman. I'm not sure. I'll put in there if I'm correct or not. But yeah, he did a good job, so praise to him. I enjoyed it. It worked with the film, and although I wouldn't listen to it a lot the same way I would listen to Man of Steel or Batman v Superman's themes, I still enjoy it, and it still suits the film, so it deserves a good mention. The plot of the film is also pretty interesting. I do enjoy it. It's not obviously like mind-blowingly wow awesome, but it is fun, it is enjoyable, it does suit the film and the character, and the characters and the story arcs for each person, so that the threats and the things the character needs to get to resolve said threat and how it all plays out is fun. It is believable in the sense of all these characters. Obviously not believable in like the sense that it could happen, but believable in the the story character sort of sense. So I do enjoy all of that. The story is pretty cool. There are a lot of funny moments as well. This film is pretty funny. I know a lot of people didn't like the jokes, but I actually did enjoy the jokes. So a lot of them made me laugh. Some of them I'm not sitting there like going just sort of like hand on heart going, I love that. That was amazing. There's not a lot of that, but there's bits where I'm like things like that sort of laugh. I chuckle a little bit. I'm not, but yeah, I don't like go proper like Joker banshee laugh. It's not that funny, but there are bits where I do think, yeah, that was quite humorous. And I also think the humour suits the characters, because you look at Aquaman. Had they not made him a little bit funny in some places in terms of this story, and you would have followed him, you might have come across as a bit too masculine for too long, and a bit too, that sort of thing. But having just moments of just a little bit of levity, I think worked with his character. Like even just like him jumping out the plane. There's a scene, sorry, it's in the trailer when they jump out of a plane. Him like just doing the whole sort of like woohoo thing as he jumps out. That suits it, and it's just little things like that where I think that little bit of levity just suits his character and makes him more believable and more human in that sense.
We're here.
Hey, is there anything nearby?
Nothing but desert for hundreds of Ks, mate.
Nothing but desert.
He's wrong. What are you doing? Let's just jump. Should have a parachute.
Redheads! You gotta love them.
Obviously, I'm not saying it needs to be funny to make it more human, because Man of Steel and BVS make their characters human without being funny, and I love it for that, and that's why I love those films. I'm not saying every character needs to be funny, and when films are too funny, too reliant on humour, especially when the humour isn't that good, I do dislike it, like the Justice League. But I do think, even though, now with Justice League, I view it now as pretty poor. I didn't dislike it as much when it first came out, but just since then I don't enjoy the film. But whereas with this, the humour doesn't gripe me. I can just watch it and I do enjoy it. Some of it does make me laugh. Some of it I don't really care about, but some of it I do think, yeah, that's pretty funny. So the humour was pretty good in some places, well, most places, but there was humour. And even though there is humour, there is actually a lot of emotional moments throughout the film to balance with that. So it's not just comedy. You know, the few little tones, because there's even a few horror elements. There's a scene which I won't spoil, which involves a scary location, and that was pretty scary actually, because James Wan was a horror director, so he did the horror aspect of it, and he did it brilliantly. So it balances the tones pretty well, and you know, when it wants you to be sad, emotional, you are. When it wants you to be happy, you are. Funny, you are. Scary, even though you're not scared. It's not like a horror film level scared, but when you're more tense, you know, on edge, when it wants you to be like that, you are. So I think it balances the tones quite well. It manages to do them all and give them the perfect amount of time each. Obviously, you don't want it to be all scary and tense. Obviously, you don't want it to be funny 100% of the time. Obviously, you don't want it to be emotional 100% of the time. But it balances it, and it does a pretty good job of doing that. And as I said earlier, I mentioned the actor who played Black Manta. Black Manta? Yeah, Black Manta. And he's a good secondary villain. I did enjoy Black Manta as a secondary villain. And I enjoyed King Orm as the main villain. And it's just the overall story, the tone, the villains, the main character, everything. It's just a good balance and it's a good mix. It doesn't drag out on one thing for too long. So it all works and it all gives it what it needs to be. It gives every character their perfect amount of screen time and good amount of story. So it balances the entire structure of the film pretty well, as well as throwing some amazing action and CGI and that sort of thing. It just comes across as this good visual, flary sort of film. Just going to mention a very few, like just a couple spoiler positives. So if you don't want to watch, here you go. Anyway, I enjoyed it when how everything played out in the film with the plot. I enjoyed like the going to the Sahara Desert, finding King Atlan's message to where the spear, to where they got to go next to, and then find the spear afterwards. I enjoyed that journey. I enjoyed them looking for the spear to then go back to fight King Orm. I like it how Aquaman, the plan is to find the spear to then fight King Orm. The trident, sorry, not the spear. And he then fights King Orm first, which he wasn't meant to do. That was against the plan. Gets the shit kicked out of him. Has his mother's trident broken, and then has to go fight for go find the King Atlan's trident. But is now like a bit fucked because the plan's gone to absolute shit. And he even says, "Oh well, out of order. We jumbled up a few steps. Shit happened," sort of thing. That's quite funny.
So what's the plan?
The plan was to recover Atlan's trident, then challenge Orm.
Okay, so we're doing things a little out of order. Shit happens.
And now he's got to do the whole journey a bit backwards, and then finds the trident, and then goes back and fights King Orm again. I like how that all plays out. I do believe that, because I do feel like Aquaman would do the thing he was meant to do first. Because he'd be like, "No, I just want to do it, get it over and done with, want to go home." And you're like, "Well, you should have done the week's journey, like the week-long journey before you decided to declare war, not declare war, get the shit kicked out of you, the plan go to shit, and then try and do the week-long journey." So I find that quite funny, and I think that did suit Aquaman, that he would mess that up a bit through, impatience and just generally wanting to fight everybody as soon as he can. So I like how the whole journey plays out, and I also love it, of course, when they find his mum. That was good emotional moment, and the speech, like before he goes to get the trident, what can be greater than a hero? What can be greater than a king? A hero. Love that.
You're afraid.
Yes.
Good. You're ready. Atlantis has always had a king. Now it needs something more.
What could be greater than a king?
A hero. A king fights only for his nation. You fight for everyone.
I just like the story and how it all played out, really. So obviously, there isn't much I want to say in terms of spoilers. I just wanted to say those few things, like when he finds his mum and how everything plays out. I think it's pretty good. And then, so now, just going to wrap up here. Overall, I think the film is really cool. It is a very fun film. It's not like super amazing, mind-blowingly, wow, could watch that every day sort of film. But in terms of as fun superhero films go, it is one of the better fun superhero films. Like, it's not like Man of Steel or BVS good, but it's better than basically every other, oh, it was fun superhero film. It's sort of like, it's not in the middle, but it's like the next thing down from Man of Steel and BVS, if that makes sense. If you're going to like put it on a chart, like from Man of Steel, BVS, Dark Knight trilogy at the top, Aquaman would be the next thing down, and then you'd get the average films, and then you get the not very good, and then you get the awful films. This one's the one underneath those sort, the brilliant stuff. It is a really fun, enjoyable film, and if you got young children, or well, not young, like 4-year-olds probably wouldn't enjoy it, but like 10 to 12-year-olds, they'll have a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it by yourself as well, or if you're with your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is, you'll have a fun time watching it together. Obviously, if you're a comic book fan, you'll enjoy it. It's not comic book accurate, but in a strange, like completely, but in a way that's a good thing, because no one wants the 1960s like Aquaman. Well, it might be comic. I don't know a lot about Aquaman, so I can't comment on every little thing. I know there are some versions of Aquaman which were more cool, were more serious, but this character's cool, but he isn't serious. So it does create its own unique balance, and does add a lot to the character, and has significantly improved the character. It's turned Aquaman from the derpiest superhero of all time to like top 10 coolest, in my opinion anyway. So I enjoy this film. I enjoy the cast. I enjoy the plot. James Wan did a great job with this film. The special effects people, amazing job. So yeah, I can't give it enough praise for that. Don Burgess, who did the cinematography, did a good job. So, you know, he deserves praise as well, because the cinematography in this film is good. Kirk Murray, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry if I'm not. He edited it, also good job. So yeah, from a visual standpoint, this film is amazing. And from a story, character, dialogue element, it is also enjoyable. So, I do recommend the film. If you do decide to watch it, I will recommend it on 4K. Where is my 4K disc? This could be a little bit embarrassing, hope not. There it is. Keep hold of all of this as well. Aquaman 4K, do recommend it. It's still got the Shazam sticker on it. But I do recommend it. Sorry about that. And because it is a fun, enjoyable film. If you can't afford 4K or you don't have a 4K player, I do recommend it on at least Blu-ray. I don't recommend it all on digital, because obviously, as I will always say, unless you got the best internet, digital is never what the quality says it is. So I recommend a hard copy, either be it Blu-ray or 4K, unless you can't afford either of those. And then I understand. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna bash that, because I understand not everybody can. So yeah, but if you can, 4K or Blu-ray, at least Blu-ray. But I do recommend 4K, because this film does look really good. Watch it on your main television as well. Don't watch it on your phone or maybe your little bedroom television or something like that. Watch it on the biggest television you own, because there's a lot of very good visual presentation in this film. And it's just like a fun Friday night film. You got a takeaway, or maybe you cook or whatever you're doing. Family night in, pretty good. Or date night in, whatever it is, or just a night in by yourself. Either way, Aquaman is a fun time. Although I do feel like it would be better with friends or family or something like that. Obviously with COVID, friends isn't really an option, but I mean, depending where you are. I don't know where your area is necessarily, how it's dealing with it, if you're watching this in some random place, but obviously not random, but you know what I mean. Not, as far as the UK is concerned, you're not really allowed friends, so, especially in Wales, Jesus. But, right, that's where I live, by the way. That's where I film. I'm from Wales. I'm not from Wales, I'm English, but I live in Wales, and I've lived here for 4 years now, 5 years. Not that you need to know that, just saying, COVID situation. But yeah, I do, sorry for that really random tangent that had nothing to do with Aquaman whatsoever, but I recommend it with people, just because you probably enjoy the jokes more, or you laugh at things more. You'll enjoy the action more. You'll be like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, sort of thing. But if you are by yourself, you'll still enjoy it. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for watching this review. I hope I've convinced you to watch it if you had any trepidations against watching it. So yeah, I do enjoy it. It is fun. Not as good as, like I said, the Snyder films, but it is good. I'm going to give it probably at a... what should I give it? 8.5 out of 10 for film quality. So yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It is good. It is good in all fairness. I'm not going to knock it. 8.5 out of 10 for film quality. Entertainment value is probably a 9 out of 10. This film is a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. It is highly entertaining, and the cast and actors, everybody did a good job. So that's my review of Aquaman. I hope you enjoyed I hope you enjoyed this video. My next video will be for Shazam. So I'll be watching that this evening of the time of filming this, writing my notes, and then filming it tomorrow, hopefully. So yes, thank you for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching again. Goodbye.